A day in the life of a modern Stoic. Imagine this. You wake up, and before your feet even hit the floor, you're already drowning in thoughts. Your inbox, the bills, that argument from yesterday. The noise of life barges into your mind before you've even taken your first breath of the day. Most people roll out of bed and immediately give themselves away. They reach for their phones, they scroll endlessly, they step into the day already reactive, already slaves to things outside their control. But what if, just for one day, you didn't? What if you could wake up with intention, move through life with calm, handle challenges with grace, and end your day in peace? This is not a fantasy, it's a choice. And it's the choice that Stoicism, an ancient philosophy born more than 2,000 years ago, offers us. The Stoics believe that while we cannot control the world, we can always control ourselves, our choices, our mindset, our actions. They lived in times of war, plagues, betrayal, and poverty, yet they discovered a way to remain unshaken. Today, in a world of constant noise, distraction, and anxiety, their wisdom is more relevant than ever. So in this video, we're going to walk through a full day in the life of a modern Stoic, from waking up to navigating the grind to reflecting at night. You'll see not just the philosophy, but how it can be lived in today's chaotic world. Because Stoicism isn't about reading quotes on Instagram. It's about practice. It's about living intentionally, one choice at a time. Stoic 1, wake up with intention. The alarm clock rings. For most of us, that sound is a small act of violence, a signal to drag ourselves, groggy and half-conscious, into another day of obligations. But a Stoic sees this moment differently. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his journal, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." So instead of hitting snooze, a modern Stoic wakes with purpose. The very first thought is not dread, but gratitude. Gratitude for the gift of another sunrise, another chance to live in alignment with one's values. This doesn't mean a Stoic morning has to be cold or rigid. It means it is intentional. 1. Mindful awakening. Picture this. Instead of grabbing the phone, the Stoic takes a single deep breath. They notice the sensation of waking. They recognize, I am alive. This day is not owed to me. It's given. In that brief pause, the day shifts. It's no longer something to survive. It's an opportunity to practice virtue. 2. Morning reflection and journaling. The Stoics were relentless journalers. Epictetus, born a slave, later taught his students to begin the day by examining their thoughts. Seneca recommended reviewing plans before stepping out the door. A modern Stoic might sit with a notebook for 5 minutes. Nothing fancy, just a few prompts. What challenges might I face today? What virtues will I practice in response? What would my best self look like today? This isn't about predicting every detail. It's about building a mental armor. For example, if you know traffic will frustrate you, you write it down. If you expect a tense meeting, you prepare your response. This practice is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. By imagining small difficulties ahead of time, they lose their power. The Stoic doesn't dread them, they're ready. 3. Setting intentions. The modern Stoic doesn't just drift. They ask, what do I want this day to mean? Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's courage. Maybe it's kindness. The key is choosing values, not outcomes, because outcomes are not within our control. You can't guarantee a promotion or smooth traffic or that your boss won't criticize you. But you can guarantee that you'll meet those events with strength and virtue. As Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. 4. The premeditation of evils in practice. Let's make this real. Imagine you're about to leave for work. You think, today I might get cut off in traffic. When that happens, I'll breathe instead of curse. My coworker might speak sharply. When they do, I'll respond calmly, not escalate. Something unexpected might delay my project. When it happens, I'll focus on effort, not frustration. By rehearsing calmly in advance, the Stoic is never ambushed. They've already decided how they will act. This isn't pessimism, it's resilience training. It's strengthening the mind for life as it actually is, unpredictable and imperfect. 5. Morning rituals of strength. Every Stoic shaped their morning differently. Some trained their bodies, some read philosophy, some took walks in silence. The common thread? Each began the day with discipline, not distraction. A modern Stoic might take a cold shower to build resilience. Exercise not for vanity, but for health and self-mastery. Read a single page from Meditations or Letters from a Stoic. Pause to reflect on mortality. This day could be my last. So how will I live it? This sounds heavy, but it's freeing. Memento mori, the remembrance of death, sharpens life. It reminds us not to waste today on trivial anger or endless scrolling. 6. Transitioning into the day. By now, the modern Stoic hasn't just woken up. They've armed themselves. Gratitude, reflection, and intention have formed a shield. When they step into the world, they're not just reacting. They're prepared. And this preparation is the foundation. Because life will test them. The commute, the emails, the small humiliations and frustrations of the grind. The question is, will they crumble or will they meet the day like a Stoic? That is where we're heading next. Stoic 2, navigating the daily grind. The morning has been set with intention, but now comes the real battlefield, the world outside. No matter how calm you feel in your room, the moment you step out the door, life throws its tests at you. A late train, a rude driver, a boss with impossible demands, colleagues gossiping, endless notifications buzzing on your phone. This is where Stoicism proves itself, not in theory, but in practice. 1. The commute as contemplation. Imagine this. You're sitting in traffic. Horns blare. The minutes tick by. Your chest tightens because you're going to be late. Most people boil in frustration here. They curse at drivers. They fume silently. By the time they reach work, they're already drained. But the Stoic sees the commute as an opportunity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Traffic is outside your control, but your response is always within it." So the Stoic takes a deep breath. Instead of hating the delay, they notice their thoughts. Instead of fighting reality, they accept it. Maybe they even use the time to listen to an audiobook, to practice deep breathing, to reflect silently. The commute becomes not wasted time, but training ground. 2. Facing the workplace. Now you arrive at work. The grind begins. Projects, deadlines, colleagues who rub you the wrong way. Here's where Stoicism becomes a secret weapon. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." In modern terms, the real poverty isn't lack of salary or recognition, but lack of peace. So when the boss criticizes unfairly, the Stoic doesn't crumble. They separate fact from opinion. The fact, words were said. The opinion, those words destroy me. That second part is a choice. Instead of anger, the Stoic responds with clarity. What can I control here? My effort, my quality of work, my dignity. That's enough. 3. Handling difficult colleagues. We all have them. The gossip, the pessimist, the one who complains endlessly. A Stoic remembers, people act according to their understanding. If they knew better, they would do better. Epictetus taught his students to treat insults like someone shouting at a rock. The rock doesn't take offense. The words bounce off. This doesn't mean the Stoic becomes a doormat. It means they don't waste energy on pettiness. They respond with calm firmness, never surrendering their inner peace. Imagine a coworker snapping at you. The usual reaction is snapping back. But the Stoic pauses, breathes, then answers rationally, not emotionally. That single pause transforms the entire moment. 4. Deadlines and pressure. Work isn't just people. It's the constant push for more. More speed, more output, more results. The modern world worships productivity, but the Stoic sees the trap. Outcomes are never guaranteed. You can't control whether the client approves your work. You can't control the economy or the company's profits, but you can control your effort, your focus, your commitment to quality. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others, unless it is related to some common good. Do not dwell on what they're doing, saying, thinking. Focus on your own task. So the Stoic works with full presence. They give their best, and then they let go of the result. That is freedom. 5. Lunchtime mindfulness. Now the day reaches its midpoint. For many, lunch is escape. Scrolling TikTok, gossiping, rushing through food without even tasting it. But the Stoic makes even this moment sacred. They put away distractions. They sit with the meal. They chew slowly, noticing the taste, the smell, the texture. They remind themselves, this food is not owed to me. It is a gift of nature, of farmers, of the earth itself. A simple meal becomes gratitude practice, and in that pause, the mind resets. The second half of the day begins not in exhaustion, but renewal. 6. Afternoon challenges. The afternoon brings new storms. An email ruins your plan. A meeting drags on. A mistake costs hours of work. Here the Stoic recalls another teaching. Amor fati, the love of fate. It means not just tolerating difficulties, but embracing them as part of the path. When plans fall apart, the Stoic doesn't ask, why me? They ask, how can I use this? The long meeting becomes patience training. The mistake becomes humility practice. The rejection becomes resilience practice. Life is not happening to the Stoic. Life is happening for them to strengthen their character. 7. Closing the workday. Finally, the workday ends. For some, it ends in collapse, drained, bitter, resentful. But the Stoic leaves with dignity. They gave what they could. They acted with virtue. The rest was never in their control. As Epictetus said, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. And so the Stoic steps away, not carrying anger or worry home, but carrying the peace of having done their part. Stoic 3. Evening reflection and growth. The sun sets. The world slows down. For most people, the evening is a blur. A rush through traffic, collapsing on the couch, grabbing fast food and scrolling through endless feeds until exhaustion takes over. But for the Stoic, the evening is sacred. It's not just the end of a day, it's the teacher's final lesson. It's a mirror that reflects back the choices you've made, the virtues you've practiced, and the moments you let slip away. If the morning sets intention, the evening builds wisdom. 1. The art of shifting gears. You've left work. The emails and meetings are behind you, but the mind still buzzes with unfinished tasks and unresolved tensions. Here's where most people make the mistake. They carry the weight of work into their homes, into their relationships, into their rest. The body is home, but the mind is still trapped in the office. A Stoic, however, makes a conscious shift. They choose a transition ritual, something that signals the external demands of the day are finished. Now I return to myself. This could be a short walk in silence, a change of clothes, symbolizing a change of role, a few minutes of breathing, letting the mind settle. By marking this shift, the Stoic protects their inner world from being polluted by the external grind. 2. Deliberate evening activities. Once the transition is made, the Stoic doesn't rush to numb themselves. Instead, they seek activities that restore the mind and nourish the soul. Maybe it's reading a few pages of philosophy or literature. Maybe it's preparing a simple meal, eaten without distraction. Maybe it's a hobby, painting, writing, gardening, not for applause, but for presence. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So instead of drowning in noise, the Stoic fills the evening with thoughts that uplift, strengthen, and align with virtue. 3. The Stoic evening review. But the most powerful evening ritual is reflection. The Stoics didn't just live, they studied their living. They treated each day as a lesson, each mistake as feedback, and each success as encouragement. Seneca described his own practice like this: "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. I hide nothing from myself. I pass nothing by." A modern Stoic can do the same with a simple process. Ask, what did I do well today? Maybe you kept calm in traffic. Maybe you spoke kindly instead of harshly. Recognize it. Virtue deserves acknowledgement. Ask, where did I stumble? Maybe you lost patience. Maybe you wasted time on distractions. Be honest without cruelty. Ask, what can I do better tomorrow? This is the gold. Reflection without action is useless. Identify one small improvement and carry it into the next day. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. 4. Learning from adversity. The evening review is especially powerful when the day has been hard. Imagine, you had an argument, you made a mistake at work, you felt overwhelmed. Most people either drown in guilt or bury it under distraction. But the Stoic faces it head on. They replay the moment, not to punish themselves, but to extract wisdom. They ask, why did I react that way? What belief was underneath my anger or fear? How could a wiser Stoic have responded? By doing this, even failure becomes fuel. Every frustration becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. As Epictetus said, difficulties show a person what they are. So the Stoic thanks the day, not only for its joys, but for its trials. Both are teachers. 5. Gratitude in the evening reflection isn't only about criticism, it's also about gratitude. A Stoic might end their day by naming 3 simple things they're grateful for: the meal they ate, a kind word from a friend, the fact that they're alive to see another sunset. Gratitude shifts the mind from scarcity to abundance, from frustration to appreciation. It reminds the Stoic that even if the day wasn't perfect, it was still a gift. 6. Preparing for rest. Finally, the Stoic prepares for sleep, not as an escape, but as a natural part of life's rhythm. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Even while you sleep, you can live a good life, if you think and act well up to the moment you fall asleep." So the Stoic avoids filling the last minutes of the day with chaos. They don't end on doom scrolling or late night anger. They end with calm, with reflection, with intention. Sleep then becomes not a collapse, but a gentle surrender. The Stoic lays down knowing they did their best with what was in their control, and that tomorrow will bring another chance to practice. Stoic 4. Cultivating inner resilience. Life doesn't always respect your carefully crafted routine. You can wake up with gratitude, journal with discipline, and move through your day with focus. But still, chaos finds its way in. The phone call you didn't expect, the bill you didn't plan for, the sudden illness, the rejection letter, the broken plan. This is the true proving ground of Stoicism, not the quiet mornings, but the storms that strike without warning. The Stoic doesn't pretend life will be smooth. They prepare for the inevitable disruptions, and they use them to grow stronger. 1. Handling unexpected challenges. Imagine this. You've planned a peaceful evening, dinner, reflection, maybe a book before bed. Suddenly, your boss emails with a problem that needs fixing tonight. Frustration rises. The plan is ruined. The evening is gone. Here is where the Stoic principle of control kicks in. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You cannot control the email. You cannot control the demand, but you can control your response. Do you complain endlessly or calmly decide your next step? Do you stew in resentment or accept reality and act with dignity? The Stoic chooses the latter, not because they enjoy the disruption, but because they refuse to hand over their peace to something beyond their control. 2. The power of negative visualization. One of the Stoics' most surprising tools is a negative visualization, intentionally imagining loss. At first glance, it sounds depressing. Why think about losing what you love? But the Stoics saw it as the key to deeper appreciation and resilience. Marcus Aurelius advised, when you kiss your child, whisper to yourself, tomorrow they may die. This wasn't cruelty, it was clarity. By remembering that nothing is guaranteed, you treasure it more fully. A modern Stoic might imagine, what if I lost my phone? Suddenly, its presence feels like a gift, not a burden. What if this were my last meal with my family? Then the conversation matters more than the distractions. What if tomorrow never comes? Then today becomes infinitely precious. By rehearsing loss, the Stoic prepares their mind. When small misfortunes come, a cracked screen, a canceled plan, a delayed flight, they no longer feel catastrophic. They feel expected, manageable, even trivial. And when bigger losses come, the Stoic has already trained the heart to endure with grace. 3. Practicing discomfort. Comfort is a blessing, but too much comfort is poison. It weakens the body, dulls the mind, and leaves us fragile in the face of hardship. The Stoics knew this, so they practiced voluntary discomfort. Seneca advised, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest of fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" A modern Stoic might take a cold shower, skip a meal, sleep on the floor for a night, go a day without using technology. These aren't punishments, they are training. They remind the Stoic, I can endure more than I think. So when discomfort arrives uninvited, a power outage, an illness, a financial setback, it doesn't feel unbearable, it feels familiar. 4. Turning setbacks into strength. A Stoic doesn't just endure difficulties, they transform them into fuel. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That project that failed, it builds resilience. That rejection, it sharpens humility. That delay, it strengthens patience. The Stoic asks, how can this obstacle serve me? What virtue does it call forth? In this way, life's hardest blows become secret gifts, each one chiseling the character into something stronger, wiser, more unshakable. 5. The calm in the storm. Resilience isn't loud. It doesn't look like fist in the air or fiery speeches. True Stoic resilience is quiet. It's the calm face in the storm. It's the person who doesn't lash out when plans collapse, who doesn't break down when insulted, who doesn't crumble when life turns upside down. This calm is not weakness, it's the deepest strength, because anyone can be peaceful when things are easy. The Stoic remains peaceful when things are hard, and in that stillness, they inspire others. 6. Resilience as a daily practice. Resilience isn't built overnight. It's built in small, daily choices, choosing patience in traffic, choosing calm when criticized, choosing gratitude when plans fail. Every small act of endurance is training. Every minor discomfort is a rehearsal for life's larger storms. So by the time true hardship arrives, the Stoic is not fragile. They are ready. Stoic 5. Living a purposeful life. What does it mean to live well? Is it wealth, fame, success, pleasure? The Stoics answered differently. For them, the good life was not measured by possessions or achievements. It was measured by virtue, living in alignment with wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. To the Stoics, purpose wasn't something you waited to discover. It was something you chose to live every single day. 1. The Stoic view of purpose. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, carried the weight of ruling an empire. Yet his writings rarely talk about power or glory. Instead, he asked, "What is your profession?" To be a good man. For the Stoics, purpose was not a distant dream or a grand destiny. It was found in the simple act of living with integrity in this very moment. A parent's purpose is to raise children with care. A student's purpose is to learn with discipline. A leader's purpose is to serve with justice. A human's purpose is to live with reason, kindness, and dignity. In this way, purpose wasn't abstract. It was practical. It was woven into everyday life. 2. Why wealth, fame, and pleasure aren't enough. Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest men, wrote often about how fragile wealth is. He saw fortunes vanish with a single shipwreck, a single fire, a single turn of fate. He warned, "Wealth is the slave of a wise man, but the master of a fool." The Stoics didn't despise money, reputation, or pleasure. They simply refused to worship them. They understood these things could be enjoyed, but never depended on. Because if your sense of purpose rests on wealth, what happens when wealth disappears? If your purpose is fame, what happens when the crowd forgets you? If your purpose is pleasure, what happens when your body fails you? The Stoics chose a foundation that could not be taken away: the pursuit of virtue. 3. Living with virtue as purpose. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, seeing the world clearly, making rational choices; courage, doing what is right, even when it is hard; justice, treating others fairly, fulfilling your duties to society; self-control, mastering desires and impulses. To them, a purposeful life was not about chasing outcomes. It was about practicing these virtues consistently, regardless of outcome. For example, if you are honest and lose money, you have still lived with purpose. If you act with courage and fail, your life is still meaningful. If you show justice and are ignored, your purpose remains intact. Purpose was not tied to results. It was tied to character. 4. Duty and service. The Stoics also believed deeply in duty, that each of us has roles to play in the grand web of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee." In other words, your purpose cannot be separated from the greater whole. If you are a parent, your duty is to your children. If you are a citizen, your duty is to your community. If you are a human being, your duty is to humanity itself. This sense of service gave life meaning far beyond personal ambition. Purpose was not about what can I gain, but how can I contribute. 5. The alignment of passion and purpose. Some people today say, follow your passion. The Stoics would reframe it, align your passions with virtue. Because passions come and go. One year it's music, the next year it's travel, then business. But virtue provides the anchor. So the Stoic asks, does this passion make me wiser? Does it require courage? Does it serve others with justice? Does it strengthen my self-control? If the answer is yes, then pursuing that passion is aligned with purpose. If the answer is no, then it risks becoming a distraction. 6. Living as if today is your last one of the most powerful Stoic practices was memento mori, remembering death. Epictetus advised, keep death and exile before your eyes every day, along with everything that seems terrible. By doing so, you'll never have a base thought, nor will you have excessive desire. Far from being morbid, this reminder sharpened purpose. Because if you knew today was your last, would you waste it scrolling endlessly? Would you argue over trivial matters? Would you chase empty status symbols? Or would you live with clarity, focusing only on what truly matters? The Stoics' answer was always the latter. 7. Finding purpose in the ordinary. Purpose doesn't require extraordinary circumstances. You don't need to be a philosopher, an emperor, or a saint. For the Stoic, purpose is found in the ordinary. Greeting a stranger with kindness, doing your work with diligence, listening to a friend with patience, choosing honesty when lying would be easier. The beauty of Stoicism is that it makes every moment meaningful, because in every moment you can choose virtue. 8. A purposeful life is a free life. When you live for virtue, you become free, free from the fear of loss, because your purpose cannot be lost. And so, the day of the modern Stoic comes to a close. From the first rays of morning light, where intention awakens the soul, to the quiet hours of night, where reflection sharpens wisdom, every moment becomes an opportunity to live with purpose. We've seen how a Stoic greets the challenges of the daily grind, not with anger, but with calm determination. How resilience is forged not in comfort, but in trials. And how a life of meaning is built one deliberate choice at a time. This is only the beginning. The foundations of Stoicism are not meant to remain as abstract ideas, but as living practices that guide every step forward. In part 2, we will journey deeper, exploring the exercises, habits, and disciplines that transform Stoic philosophy into daily strength. From practicing discomfort to connecting with core values, and from small rituals to great challenges, the path will only grow richer. So carry today's lessons with you. Let intention shape your mornings, resilience guide your days, and reflection close your nights. If you want to continue this journey and unlock the next steps to living like a modern Stoic, subscribe to our channel now and hit the notification bell. Don't miss part 2. Walk with wisdom, live with courage, and let purpose light your path.